We now look at how to create video snippets, which are part of learning sequences. There are a number of ways of capturing video snippets, and really you should use your creativity in trying to find the best method that works for you. There are a number of ways that you can do this. One is you can use con-style videos, which are videos involving handwriting on a tablet and using some kind of screen capture software such as Camtasia to record the handwriting on the tablet. Another method might be to handwrite on a piece of paper with an overhead camera recording your handwriting. Oh, I should point out that what you're seeing here is PowerPoint with handwriting on top, and this is an example of con-style capture. A third approach would be to use a video camera and record yourself in your normal campus class, including chalkboard activity. Now, this is a common style that is used in OpenCourseWare videos from MIT. Another approach would be to record yourself in your on-campus class and interleaved with laptop screen capture. So, for example, if you're giving a lecture in class and where you are talking and at the same time you might be pointing at some PowerPoint slides that are projected on a screen. Now, video capture of PowerPoint slides on a screen looks terrible. So what you can do is that you can have two feeds. One, a camera feed capturing yourself, and second, a camera feed from the laptop that is capturing the laptop information. And then you can have a video editor interleave these two between showing you talking to the class and then switching out, cutting out to video from your laptop. And this can be particularly useful when what is being shown from the laptop screen is you editing some code snippets, doing some execution, or showing some demonstration on your laptop. Yet another example is to talk into a camera and showing models and charts. Another fun style is to use an overhead camera and to record your hands doing some activity. Okay, you can either have a couple of hands handwrite stuff, you can do a demonstration, whatever. And this can be a lot of fun, as you will see in a little demonstration I'm going to show you shortly. You can also have dramatizations and other footage where you can have a video recording of some demonstration or other such technique. Now, you can interleave talking into a camera with any of the above. And we recommend that before you go into a sequence of videos showing some handwriting or the other activity, it is quite useful to provide a brief introduction with you talking to a camera so that the students can put a face to the voice that they're hearing. But again, we emphasize that you should not feel compelled to stick a talking head in your videos. It can be quite distracting and is not such a good idea. Okay, so now let's look at some examples of each of these styles of video capture. Let's start with con-style capture, where you handwrite on a tablet and use screen capture software. So what I'm doing here is exactly that. Okay, so I have a little tablet here, and I have a keyboard on the side, I have a mouse, and I have a little pen. Okay, and I'm recording on the screen as I speak. Okay, so let me show you a little video clip of what this might look like.
And notice that j squared is -1, and so these two cancelled out. When those two cancelled out, I got omega naught squared divided by j omega RL, and simplifying that, I ended up with Q, where Q was omega naught by 2 alpha, and 2 alpha was equal to R divided by L, and of course my omega naught is 1 over square root of LC. Okay.
A second style is to handwrite on a piece of paper with an overhead camera recording your handwriting. Okay, so here what you can do is you might have a piece of paper here, and you might have a overhead camera somehow mounted on a tripod. Okay, and then you can use your hand and handwrite on the piece of paper and get the camera to capture your handwriting. Okay, so we'll show you a demonstration of that as well, and that can be quite useful in recording video.
So we're going to start with the inexact method, the approximation. And what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that this capacitor is a resistor. We're going to use this kind of formula for the impedance of a capacitor, that this impedance of a capacitor is equal to 1 over 2 pi fc times j. And what we'll do right now is we're going to kind of ignore this j for a moment and pretend this is just 1 over 2 pi fc.
One of the benefits of con-style video capture is that all you need is a tablet and you can do the handwriting. But with this style where you're capturing the hand, you do need a camera set up, and then you have to have a memory stick in the camera, and then there's a bit of a logistics issue where you have to move some physical things around. Okay, the next style that I want to talk about is to use a video camera and record yourself in your normal campus class, if possibly including chalkboard activity. Okay, so you may have a number of students sitting in class, and here you are expounding to the students, and there are a bunch of chalkboards behind you, and you're handwriting on those chalkboards. And you might have a camera set up in your class that is recording everything. And this is one more example. So let's show you a little example of this. And this can be fairly useful, particularly if the camera work is pretty good, or if there are a couple of cameras that can point to the chalkboards. One challenge with this approach, which can be taken care of with a couple of cameras, is if you are handwriting on this blackboard here, and you write something, but you refer, so as you're standing here, you use a hand and points to something on another chalkboard. If the camera person doesn't follow your hand and look at this chalkboard when you point to it, then you can lose the students. Okay, so you have to be careful when you do this recording. One way to do this recording is in each of these chalkboards to make sure that any information that you're going to reference while working on this chalkboard is all available within that chalkboard. So if there's any figure that you want to reference, you may want to hand draw those figures on the right-hand top corner of the chalkboard before you start your class, and then continue your activity to that one chalkboard as the camera points to you at that chalkboard. Okay, let's look at an example of a video captured in class.
And now I ask you, in the last minute, what is the difference between 2 electrons in an anti-bonding orbital and 2 electrons in a non-bonding orbital? No, I want to answer this question. Yeah.
Electrons in the anti-bonding orbital affect the bond order, and the non-bonding orbital does not.
That's right. See, the fact that I have 2 electrons over on this side doesn't affect the bond energy here.
Next, you can record yourself in your campus class and interleave with the laptop screen capture. So for example, if you're showing PowerPoint slides, or if you're doing some programming assignment, or if you're browsing the web, for example, and showing some students some pictures, images, or poetry, or whatever. Okay, let's do a quick example of this.
So we're going to create our URLs to include that information as the ID field. So the instance variables are set up in the controller. They'll become available to the view. And all we then have to do in the view is make a little HTML snippet that will display the data and maybe let the user do something, like go back to the main page or something simple like that. And let us take a look at what this looks like. Here's our really simple view. So in our sort of abbreviated HTML and HAML, we're going to have a really simple header that says details about, and we can interpolate the movie's title. Remember that @movie is the instance variable we set up in the controller, right? It's one movie that got...
All right, next, let's take a look at having you talk into a camera and showing models and charts. One of the difficulties of talking into a camera is that it is difficult to read off of some notes and so on, and you also have to be dressed appropriately when you talk into a camera. Okay, so you have to be, but this is much more of a production operation than if you were using one of the other forms, such as Khan-style handwriting or writing on a piece of paper. So let's look at a quick little demo of this.
And say, is the thing I'm looking for there? If I'm lucky, it is. If not, I'll use again the difference between what I'm looking for and that element to decide which half I can throw away. For example, I might be able to toss those away. And then I can look here and eventually decide whether I've got the thing I'm looking for or not. The idea is that on each stage, I can take half of the remaining things and ignore them, throw them away, which makes this a very efficient way of doing the search.
The next approach is to use an overhead camera and to record your hands doing some activity. So here, you can even do this with a number of people. So here's a camera, here's an overhead projector, and you can have a couple of people. So let's say this is a table. You can have a couple of people, and you can have 2 or more sets of hands, and the hands can be doing whatever on the table, handwriting or building some model, and the camera could be capturing all of that. It is also quite useful for one of the hands to be able to be handwriting while the other set of hands pointing at things and so on. So pointing at things and having a lot of activity in the view of the camera is a really good thing.
Now, I'm going to reverse the battery so that we connect the battery in the opposite polarity. Okay? Go ahead, Peter.
You connected, I will.
Okay, I'm just doing it.
Shall we swap, please?
Yes, sir. Okay. And what we observe is basically the ammeter is measuring 122 milliamperes in the negative direction. So that means it's measuring the current into the light bulb, because I have not changed the orientation with respect to the light bulb.
Finally, yet another approach is using footage of some dramatizations, demos, and things like that. And they will show you a quick example of that. This can be spectacularly fun for the students. Of course, you can interleave talking to the camera with any of the above. If you have a camera pointed at yourself, you can take a video snippet and then interleave that with any of the others. And this form is particularly useful for providing brief introductions to various topics before you move into some other form of capture.
This will lead naturally to the idea of loop constructs, or mechanisms in our language that let us generalize the idea of repeating a computation until a particular condition is reached. This will let us generalize our guess and check methods to a broader group of algorithms called successive approximation, and especially to a very common and very powerful method called bisection search.